You guys are not gonna believe what I just picked to eat out of my garden. It is so delicious, and I want to show you right now. And I hope you guys don't mind a little tour of my front yard garden as we make our way back to the good stuff. This is a globe mallow that attracts the bees. This is a Peruvian apple cactus that has delicious fruits on them. The jujube is going dormant for the winter time. The fig tree is going dormant for the winter time. The baby avocado there is doing pretty well. It's stabilized, looks good. Oranges falling on the ground, which I love because I can eat the ripe ones off the ground. You can do some pull-ups on the arbor. Starfruit tree, been in the ground about 3 years and has some delicious starfruits on this year. About, I would say, a dozen starfruits on this tree this year. And never have to frost protect this guy. I never have, because the moringa trees above him give him all the frost protection that he needs. In fact, so far this year I haven't frost protected anything, which is a stark difference to last year as we pass my wolfberry bush. If you can see, all these purple flowers here will become delicious red goji berries, which are one of the most nutritious fruits you can eat, full of antioxidants and protein. This year I frost protected nothing, but last year I frost protected a lot. If you guys want to see how I frost protect my fruit trees last year, in the link to this video, in the description to this video, there's a link you can click on and you can watch last year's frost protected technique. I've got all these delicious grapefruits for the first time this tree produced, and he's loaded. Eating 3 grapefruits a day. So everywhere I turn, there's just more grapefruits. Especially down in here, in the jungle. Just a plethora of grapefruits back in there. Looks so good. Let's pick one. Let's take some of the weight off of this vine right here. Good. It's got some pink there. Tangerine tree doing very well. This is a clementine tangerine. I love it so much. It's probably one of my favorite citrus trees for now on the property. And yesterday, even though it's December, I planted some new things. This is a white sapote. It's growing taller. I planted this sapote with you guys on camera at the Vegan Athlete YouTube channel. Moringa trees above, growing all their bean pods. And I put in the ground these 2 passion fruit vines yesterday that are going to grow up to this trellis and climb over top of this trellis here. We got bay leaf for stews and whatnot. I like that word, plethora. We're going to go this way, up and over the house to my front yard raised beds. I've got potatoes coming through this bed, growing very nice. Got a whole bed full of potatoes, and behind the potatoes are New Zealand spinach, an edible green, with a plethora of sweet fennel, licorice tasting fennel. This fennel's been growing for about 3 years now and is really one of my favorite plants because it tastes so good, like licorice, like black licorice, but also the butterflies lay their larvae in it, and it becomes a refuge for butterfly larvae. The artichokes are coming back. They'll start to produce after the winter is done, and I planted a bunch of more potatoes in this bed yesterday. This is my eggplant, starting to die out for the winter, but it's still full of eggplants. And I've got the white sapote here and delicious guava that are the gate gods that protect the entrance to Longevity Gardens. Let's go inside Longevity Gardens together right now. Peach tree going dormant. Desert hackberry, netleaf hackberry. Brown turkey fig putting off figs still. Hasn't lost his leaves yet because he's in a nice little microclimate over here, and cucumber vines starting to die out. This is my friend right here. This is the wisdom tree, the ironwood that will live for hopefully 1,500 years. And whenever God decides to come down and speak to me, I'm sure one day he'll light this tree on fire and send me a message. Because to me, this tree looks like the burning bush. Ooh, yes, New Zealand spinach. This is a Jaboticaba I got from Seamus O'Leary's, and it's growing great. It's been in the ground almost a year. Always new growth on him, and I think he's gonna make it because his growth has been vigorous over the past year, and he's looking really healthy. And he's in a nice microclimate with this guava and Australian bookleaf tree behind, the white Pakistan mulberry in front, and the ironwood tree speaking words of wisdom to the Jaboticaba. Maybe someday, Seamus, maybe someday. Got the banana trees here that, despite not being covered and it being winter time, are still hanging on to their bananas, which if I can get them to go past the winter time, they will ripen up and I'll eat them in the spring with you guys on camera for the Vegan Athlete channel. My loofah is dying out, which is good because now I can harvest the sponges. And I still have quince all over the quince tree, even though we've been eating a lot of quince pie and quince jam and quince cobbler. This avocado is Jim Bacon, and he's growing some nice new foliage down there that's gonna hopefully be the B-type of avocado that will pollinate my A-type avocados. This is an apricot going dormant. Jelly palm, aka pinto palm. The avocado tree is doing well with no cover. So there's really 3 reasons why I'm not covering anything this year for the winter time. Number 1 is because it's too big. This guy's pushing over 10 feet tall now, and I just can't cover him anymore. He's too big. It's gonna be hard for me to cover him this summer, so I might not even cover him this summer. We'll see what happens. Luckily, he has this white fruiting mulberry to help protect him. Number 2, I've brought in so many wood chips and I've planted so much stuff over the last year or 2 that the residual heat in my yard is much greater in the wintertime and cooler in the summertime. And reason number 3 I'm not covering anything is because I just don't have the time. I'm just really busy lately making all these videos for you guys, and between lack of time, the fact that my thermometers tell me that my yard is 15 degrees warmer than the reported temperature, and because the trees are just getting too big. It's my koi fish there. Nice little Barbados cherry, acerola cherry right here, and date palm right there. We're gonna keep walking back here, past another pinto palm, jelly palm, past some figs that haven't yet started to lose their leaves. And if you guys want evidence of how warm it is back here, let me give you guys some evidence, okay? These fig trees are supposed to lose their leaves in the wintertime and turn yellow. But this area I'm standing in right now is the warmest area of my yard in the wintertime. So look at how the fig leaves still look green and perfect. They haven't started to lose their leaves yet. If you guys, and don't forget about this, because in 1 minute I'm going to show you guys a fig tree in the other corner of my yard where it's colder, and you'll see the stark difference. So remember how this fig tree here is about 10 feet tall and is still green as can be because he's in the warm microclimate of my yard. And we got the papayas still hanging on to their papayas, and if I can get them through the winter time, maybe they'll fruit in the spring. That papaya is 1 year old. This papaya here is 1 year old. Look at how big it is. This papaya I'm showing you right now is 1 year old from seed. It's 14 feet tall. This papaya here is 3 years old from seed. He's about 15, 16 feet tall. He just goes so high I can't even catch him on camera anymore. we spin over here, I do meditation on these rocks. And while I'm meditating, I built this waterfall so that it's a nice soothing Zen aesthetic that makes my meditation more powerful. It also oxygenates the water for the fish as the water flows down there under that bridge. The river goes around the middle of my property and back into the pond. And the fish and the plants live together as part of a symbiotic relationship because the fish give poop to the plants and the plants clean the water for the fish. Ice cream bean, still putting off new growth, and it's not even curling or getting any frost damage because it's warmer back here. This ice cream bean is growing pretty tall. It's the biggest I've ever gotten ice cream bean so far, and if this can make it through the winter time, I will successfully have a hardened off ice cream bean tree. It's getting protection from the papayas up there. How do those look? I'm not seeing any wow faces or likes going across the screen. You guys must not like this. I better start seeing some hearts and some wow faces and some likes, some thumbs ups going across the screen. Date palm, guava, more guava, more guava. Growing some lantana down here along the pond, and then the fish are down there in the pond, and that's the avocado tree from the other side over there. I'm trying to grow sugar apple, and so far the leaves look pretty healthy, and he's been in the ground over a year, so he's gonna make it. New growth looks pretty good. Star fruit tree is putting off some nice looking star fruits that are getting more and more ripe every week that goes by, and soon I'll be eating those on camera at the Vegan Athlete channel for you guys. They're looking pretty good. I've been putting this curry as a spice in different rice and lentil dishes. And if we look down here, you can see my main garden area and more date palms that I'm growing that are only about 4 years old, but they're up and comers. And then for fitness, the athlete part of Vegan Athlete, gotta climb that rope, man. If you can't climb that rope, then the zombies can get you, and it means you're getting old. So I figure if I can always climb that rope, then my fitness level is pretty good. If you walk back here, one of my other favorite trees I've got right now is this one called a Tipuana Tipu right there, which is growing pretty large and is a nitrogen fixer, and he's got some cactus below him, edible cactus, and I've got more date palms growing back here in the back of the yard. We got a fruiting date palm there and another fruiting date palm here, and this is the tropical section. We can walk past my punching equipment here that I hit and go to my bananas, my lychee, and other tropicals back there. And let's get to the food that I wanted to show you guys. I picked some good stuff to show you, and you guys can see my yard as I walk down here. Past some citrus, past the date palms. It's a giant neem tree, looks pretty good. This neem is getting pretty massive, and he's taking the cold pretty well. The poinciana is starting to drop his leaves for the winter time, but he still is hanging on, and the neem seems to be pretty good. In the winter time, the issue with the neem is that you don't want to overwater them, because overwater them can make their leaves yellow. You don't want that. In my main garden area here, you can see how I got my kale, my dino kale growing. My curry plant has been in the ground for about 2 years, and it was about a year old when I got it, so I'm thinking it's about 3 years old. Some of the dino kale, the lacinato kale. This is a bed full of Swiss chard and beets. Back here, my sweet peppers are still producing despite the cold temperatures, and they are showing no signs of slowing down. Got some bok choy, more peppers and beets, and all that green back there is sweet potatoes. I just planted this new row of cactus, the Mexican fence post cactus. which is looking really good, and I think adds a nice look to the yard here. It makes it look really nice, and I love those Mexican fence post cacti. The purpose of this video today is to show you guys what I'm going to eat. So we're going to walk past the fruiting female carob tree, past my pecan tree, which is dropping its leaves for the winter finally, and this way past the bed of carrots I planted here. This cayenne pepper is no joke. It's pretty hot and it's always flowering and doing well. One of my friends from Vietnam, my gardening friends, shout out to the Vietnamese people. He gave me that one, and got a bed full of carrots here that are growing very nicely, and I love when my carrots overwinter and they produce amazing edible goodness for the springtime. My kumquat tree is full of kumquats. And let's come over here together right now. Let's have a seat. So this is the star fruit. And this is off one of Seamus O'Leary's trees from his home garden. And the way that I like to cut it, I'll just eat this whole like an apple, but if you want it to be a little more dramatic, you can slice it like that, and then you have a bunch of little stars that are really so delicious. They really do taste amazing. It's one of my favorite fruits, actually. Thank you, Seamus O'Leary, for bringing me star fruit. Seamus came by last night, and Seamus is like a old, respectful soul. He always brings a gift. He knows that I love fruit, so there we go. And this is a fig from my brown turkey fig tree over there. And let's open it up and see how it looks on the inside. That looks pretty good. Even though it's winter time, my figs are still producing. I just eat the whole thing like that. So good. And the quince, what I've been doing is making like quince oatmeal. I put this quince, I dice it up into little chunks, and I put it into a little bit of water, and I add some pure maple syrup and cinnamon. And then I add in some granola to it, and it's like a quincy granola with some coconut milk. And on the inside, the quince looks kind of like that, and it tastes kind of like an apple. You just eat it raw, because these are so ripe that they're really juicy and nice. But I love the star fruit, the carambola, the best. Maybe somebody can send me that thumbnail right there. Somebody take a screenshot and tag me and message me that thumbnail right there. Now remember, I showed you guys that my fig trees in the tropical section of my yard were still green, and they hadn't yet begun to lose their leaves for the winter time, remember? Well, that was over here. Let me show you. In that corner. That corner is the tropical section. And you guys can see that little bit of leaves right there. Those are those fig trees that are still green and fully healthy and have not yet begun to go dormant for the winter time. Right there, that's the fig. Those are the big papayas that are, I mean, that canopy right there is about 7 feet tall. So those papayas are at least double the canopy. It's like almost 14, 15 feet. And I'm finding that this corner of my yard is warmer in the winter and it's cooler in the summer. And if you don't believe me, let me show you what the other corner of my yard looks like. A very similar variety of fig tree. Let's go over here together. We have friends over and we have fire pit night. And the fire pit can make us stronger with its ancient caveman wisdom that it gives us. And that's a beautiful Peruvian fruiting female mulberry that I planted as a little tiny baby only 2 years ago. It was $15 tree, little tiny baby, like 1 gallon tree from Seamus O'Leary. Now 2 years later, that's the size of him. The next day I put some date palms. Down there, the date palms are over there. Over here you can see how the pomegranate's starting to go dormant. And here's a fig tree that is in the opposite corner of my yard. Over here, there's not as many wood chips and there's also not as much plant life being grown. There's also no pond, and so my jujubes have already gone dormant. That one as well. And the fig tree over here looks super yellow. And this is only a couple of 100 feet apart from the other fig trees. And that 15 degrees difference, in my opinion, is making this fig tree go dormant and the other ones stay green. So you guys can create a microclimate that's conducive of fruit trees if you work hard, bring in lots of mulch and wood chips, and plant a lot of stuff. And put in a water feature like a pond, which is a way better use of water than a grass lawn. Thanks for watching me eat starfruit today, guys, and quince and fig. I'm gonna go over here and show you one more thing as we close up. I'm really excited to make my kimchi this year with my own Napa cabbage. I make vegan kimchi, and as we go over too, I want to show you first my cactus area full of my totem and desert lavender and pine cone, aka penis cactus, and the dragon fruit all back here growing over the arch. The dragon fruit is back there. The nopalitos, the prickly pears there, and got some yucca and more Peruvian apple back here, and the beautiful palo verde with edible flowers and pea pods up there, and a whole forest of aloe vera back against the wall, so it's contained in its own area that we use for eating and for topical reasons. And illuminated by the light right now is my Napa cabbage, which I'm really proud of this year. I got a nice looking purple tree kale in there as well. That's the purple tree collard or tree kale, and this is all my Napa cabbage growing, and that's going to be the kimchi coming up. And some more sweet peppers and the forest of mint, and this is all basil over here, and the Napa cabbage looks pretty good. Guys, thanks for watching my live video today. I'll leave you with my buddy Chubbs. Say goodbye, Chubbs. Look at me, Chubbs.